Dr. Bartók, can you tell us something about the movements of the sonatina, which Mrs. Bartók is going to play for us first? The title suggests that there is some reference to Hungarian folklore or everyday scenes from Hungarian life. I refer, of course, to the names of the first movement, the bagpipe players, and the second movement called the bear dance.
This sonatina was originally conceived as a group of Romanian folk dances for piano. The three parts which Mrs. Bartók will play were selected from a group and given its present title of sonatina. The first movement, which is called bagpipe players, is a dance. These are the two dances played by two bagpipe players, the first by one and the second theme by another. The second movement is called bear dance. This was played for me by a peasant violinist on the G and D strings, so on the lower strings, in order to have it more similar to a bear's voice. Generally, the violin players use the E string. And the last movement contains also two folk melodies played by peasant violin players.
Dr. Bartók, do you consider the suite Opus 14, which Mrs. Bartók is going to play next, representative of your abstract piano compositions? And if so, what qualities make it so?
If by abstract music you mean absolute music without program, then yes. The suite Opus 14 has no folk tunes. It is based entirely on original themes of my own invention. When this work was composed, I had in mind the refining of piano technique, the changing of piano technique into a more transparent style, a style more of bone and muscle, opposing the heavy chordal style of the later Romantic period. That is, unessential ornaments like broken chords and other figures are omitted, and it is more a simpler style.
Thank you. Dr. Bartók, is there any essential difference between the next number on our program, the first rondo, composed comparatively recently in 1932, and your earlier works?
Actually, the rondo is of the same period as the suite you just heard. In its original form, there were three separate pieces, all based on Slovakian folk material. Much later, in 1932, they were welded together to make one complete movement in rondo form.
Following the first rondo, Mrs. Bartók has two other piano pieces in her group, and the first one, of course, is the Bulgarian rhythm. The second one of the piano pieces, Evening in Transylvania, suggests that it may have been composed with some special situation or event in mind. And I know that your music is never meant to be personal. Can you tell us about it, Dr. Bartók?
Evening in Transylvania is an original composition that is with themes of my own invention, but the themes are in the style of the Hungarian Transylvanian folk tunes. There are two themes. The first one is parlando rubato rhythm, and the second one is more in a dance-like rhythm. The second one is more or less the imitation of a peasant flute playing, and the first one, the parlando rubato, is an imitation of a sung vocal melody. The form of it is A-B, A-B, A.
The Microcosmos cycle, which Mr. Searle has transcribed for piano and string orchestra, is such a vast work. I wonder if you could tell us briefly what it comprises.
The Microcosmos is a cycle of 153 pieces for piano, written with didactical purposes. That is, to give pieces, piano pieces, which can be used from the very beginning and then going on. It is graded according to difficulties. And the word cosmos may be interpreted, microcosmos, may be interpreted that as a series of pieces in all of different styles, which represent a small world. Or it may be interpreted that a world, musical world for the little ones, for the children.